Construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions Podcast, where we're burning the house down twice a week, every Monday and Thursday. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts or wherever you watch podcasts. And as always, this show isn't about Ron Nussbaum. The show is about the amazing guests that we bring on here. I know that's why you tune in. It's to learn from them and become the champion that you're meant to be, that we all know you're here to be, and to raise the bar in the construction industry. And today's episode is no different. It's what we're here to do. We bring the fire every time. And Chris, it is great to have you here with us today.
Well, thanks, Ron.
Why don't you take a moment and tell all the construction champions out there a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Chris Scully, and my company, Action Management Pros, coaches people in the construction industry. We don't teach you anything about how to build stuff because you already know how to do that. We teach you how to run your business better so that you can have the life you envisioned when you started your business. So many people in this industry work their tails off and work their tails off and work their tails off, but they don't have the quality of life that they want when they started. So we help you get there by teaching you management tools that you can use to achieve the lifestyle that you want and still have a prosperous, profitable business.
I love it. That's what it's all about. It's all about getting to that goal that we originally had when we started our business, that sometimes it just gets blurry in there. So we're going to dive right in there. I'm going to ask the $1,000,000 question, and that is, what makes a construction champion?
Ever feel overwhelmed managing construction projects? Meet BuilderComms, your new solution for hassle-free communication and document management. Boost your productivity and teamwork. Get the limited time lifetime offer now and simplify your workflow.
You know, that's a good question. I'm gonna stick to what I feel is the most fundamental thing, and it has to do with communication and your customer's experience in working with your company. Um, I've talked to a lot of people in and outside the industry, and one of the things that comes up fairly often is that, at least from people who've had, say, a remodel done or things like that, that sometimes their contractor's hard to reach, or they had this or that issue during the process. They're super happy with the end result, but the middle part wasn't so great, right? So that's one of the focuses that I have when I work with my clients, is how to deliver that incredible customer experience that they don't expect, because most people expect a remodel or something to be really disruptive of their life. And if you can make that a little bit easier, then you're not only a champion, you're a superstar at that point.
I love it, man. You're preaching to the choir. I've been on the communication soapbox, whatever you want to call it, for the last couple of years, out addressing what I feel is one of the biggest elephants in the room in construction, that
Yeah.
we as an industry tend to turn a blind eye to, but it's our customers' biggest complaint. It costs the construction industry over $30 billion a year in rework.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are in 2024, still just kind of cruising along. I mean, I built an entire software platform to improve communication.
You did, and that's and you know what's interesting about that is, I'll take it even a step further. About a year ago, I decided I wanted to do a survey of contractors to find out what were the most common pain points that people were having. Okay. I called probably 250, 300 people. 90% didn't even answer their phone or return a phone call. Okay. I can just sort of let that rest, because I'm calling the same number that your customers are calling.
Yes. It's amazing. Like the the bar is so low when it comes to this. And we've had
Yes.
people on here that all they do, like just marketing for construction businesses. And they're like, the biggest thing I have to get through people's mind is you have to answer the damn phone. Because
Right.
if you don't, they move on to the next. And how much work is lost because we're just not even communicating before it even becomes a lead.
Right. Yeah, and that's a real issue. If you want to be successful in this industry, the first thing you have to do is talk to people.
So I love it because this is the conversations that have to happen because I just I'm from the industry. I
Right.
understand this pain point, and I just don't understand why we turn such a blind eye to it and just kind of say, oh, it's construction. It's okay to suck at communication. It's what the customer expects. And I believe that's the wrong thinking around this.
Well, I think it has become sort of the way things are, in air quotes. But here's an interesting thing. And some people might be offended by what I'm about to say, but I'm just going to say it. So a lot of times folks get into the trades because they like working with their hands. They like building things. 2x4s don't talk back. Wire doesn't talk back. Pipe doesn't talk back. So you can be a carpenter, an electrician, or a plumber and be good at that without having to deal with people.
Mm,
So you get good at your profession, which, let's say you're a plumber, you get very good at being a plumber and you do great work. And you've been working for other people and you decide, I could probably do a little bit better than I am now by opening my own plumbing company. But you don't have the people skills because you've been focused on learning your trade.
mhm.
And sometimes some people get into an industry like this because they don't want to deal with people. Like I said, pipes don't talk back.
Yeah.
So they're not used to dealing with people, and that carries forward. And when you get into running your own business, the first thing you have to recognize is that no matter what your profession is, you're in the people business.
Mm,
And
100%.
that's the important thing. And I think that's what a lot of folks miss is that they're not in the plumbing business or the electrical business. They're in the people business because the customers are people.
Mm. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, how do we help guys bridge the gap? Because I mean, there's a very low barrier to entry when you're really, really good at your trade to say, if you're like use the plumber example, if you're a really good plumber, you probably already have all your own tools and you're working for somebody else, is you can easily Monday morning start working for yourself. But like you said, we don't have the skill set that it takes. So we have to be able to take guys from masters of their craft to, I say, business masters, because we're not just in construction business. We're in a business that just happens to do construction. And that's
That's
the
right.
mindset that has to be around that.
Right.
How do we help guys get there?
Well, frankly, that's why I have a business. So, um,
Perfect question.
yeah. So it starts with conversations like this, being frank, being honest, pointing out the uncomfortable thing, the elephant in the room that, as you said, which is that if you don't get good at handling customers and if you don't pay attention to that customer experience, you're always going to struggle to some degree.
Hmm.
And you could, if you want to, you can also organize your business where you bring in people to deal with that part of the business, and that's okay too. But you have to prioritize the customer and what the process of doing business with you is like for your customer.
Yeah, I agree with that because I think there's this preconceived notion in the industry that there will always be work, there will always be customers, and I don't necessarily have to really strive to be this great customer service person. But the only way to guarantee that is to create a customer experience that's beyond anybody in your area.
Yeah,
That's the way that that funnel never ends, is by being that company.
right. So there's kind of four areas that I see that are common issues that kind of surround all of this. That if you handle these and you turn them from liabilities for yourself to competitive edges, not only does your business grow, but you can pretty much own your market.
Hmm.
Okay, so we had just talked about one, communication. Be reachable, be accessible to your customers, whether they're new customers or your existing clients that you're working on their project, but communicate. Next thing, show up on time. If you tell your customer that you'll have workers there at 9 in the morning, then they should be there at 8:50.
Agreed.
Okay. And if something crazy happens, like, I don't know, a freeway gets closed down for some reason due to an accident or, an act of God or whatever, then communicate to the customer saying, hey, my guys are stuck in the mess on the freeway, blah, blah, blah. They'll get there as soon as they can. But the customer then still knows what to expect. Number 3, don't trash their house.
Hmm.
I've been on job sites that are nice, neat, orderly, and I've been on job sites that look like a cyclone went through the place. And if you're the homeowner, you want it to be nice, neat, and orderly. They don't expect it to be white glove clean, because they know that you're doing work on their house, but it shouldn't be like a cyclone went through the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to tell my guys all the time is that what we're going to do would be one of the most disruptive things that happens for that family inside their own home.
Yeah.
And what we can do is we can try to keep this organized, try to keep it an appearance of not as craziness. But no matter what, you have to understand is we're coming in somebody's house and disrupting their life for as long as that project's going on. And when we leave at night, they still are living there. So they still have to be able to function. How can we set them up for the best success during that and not just use the excuse of, oh, it's a construction project, it's just going to be chaos?
Right. And here's my last one. Finish on time. If the job's supposed to be 4 weeks, then it gets done in 4 weeks.
Mm.
Okay, here's my nightmare story. I had a job, a remodel on my mother's home after she passed, that was estimated to be a 3 to 4 month project, and the variance of a month had to do with the permit process. And unfortunately, the city took 8 weeks to do that, but that's not the contractor's fault. So, okay, so from the time the permits are issued, if I add 4 months, it's still a 6-month project. I'm okay with that. The job took 14 months. Now, there is no surer way to upset a homeowner, destroy your reputation, and kill any chance of referrals than to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And while the length of overtime in that example is extreme, but it is true, even going over by a week or two still it causes upsets with your customers. So if you really want to be a construction champion, be a superstar, communicate, 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 communicate. Show up on time. Keep the house neat and orderly as much as possible and finish the job on time. If you can master those 4 things, you've mastered the most important things in your business.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Doing those 4 things at a high level will put you in the top 1% of all
Absolutely.
construction companies, not just locally, nationally.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are the things that I help my clients focus on. And on the not finishing on time, I'm going to give you an example of something. How many times, and I want everybody who's listening to this to think about this, how many times during the course of a job does somebody have to, in the middle of the day, run over to Home Depot or someplace like that because you ran out of something, you forgot something, you didn't order it, whatever happened, and until that person gets back with that thing, work is to some degree stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of those times, how many of those ended up being multiple trips because the person who went didn't get the right thing? Those types of things are what pushes jobs out. And you can calculate if you want to, if you want to spend the time doing the math on how much money that costs you if you're the owner of that company. These little things, when you look at them along the course of a year, add up to a lot.
Mm.
So you can make what seems like small improvements, but when you multiply them over every job that you do, it adds up to huge improvements over the course of a year.
Absolutely. And that can a lot of times be the difference of a job being profitable or not. Not
Absolutely.
just the customer experience, but the impact that it has on your business.
Right. Yeah. So those are my answers to your question. What makes a construction champion? It's
I love
those things.
I love it, man. I love detailed explanations about that. I believe exactly what you're saying. Those 4 things, like I said, if you can do those at a high level, you're going to be in the top 1% of all construction companies nationwide. And what I love about them is they're simple. At the heart, they are simple things that you just have to put thought into and
Right.
just not let it willy-nilly happen. You just have to put some thought into them. And if you do that, it'll drastically change your business forever.
Absolutely. And you can create business processes and systems that take care of those things that don't require you to have your hands in everything. And that's a really important thing because the more you can systematize these things, the easier it is to scale your business. If you want to be that guy that's got a huge company that you're running, dozens of jobs at a time and it's all running like a well-oiled machine, then you create systems around these points that we've been talking about, and you can do it. And by the way, the result of that survey that I did was that the majority of the people were having trouble finding good help. And the interesting thing about that is this: if you ran a construction company that operated the way we're talking about, it would be easy to find people who wanted to work for you.
That
Because
is
who wouldn't want to be part of a winning team like that?
That is 100% true. I mean, that's how you change the narrative of the inside culture of your company. Because you
Yeah.
start doing that stuff right, you know what ends up happening is your guys end up getting back at the times they're supposed to and getting home and being able to have a life that's not every night. Well, we got to stick around until 9, 10 o'clock at night because we're trying to get this project wrapped up that we're already 2 weeks over. Or we got to work through the weekend. And your guys are constantly hearing about it from the homeowners and the customers or the subs or the suppliers. And Nobody wants to be part of that.
No, exactly. So when you build a culture around that, it actually starts solving all of the other problems that are connected to it that we haven't talked about yet, because they're all offshoots of those core issues.
Absolutely, man. I love it. I think that is a fantastic, just core four that every business out there should do. Like every guy that's out there listening right now should really evaluate those. So that's awesome, man. For everybody that's listening out there, if they wanted to connect with you, learn more about what you do, follow you, where's the best places for them to do that?
Well, my website, which is actionmanagementpros.com. I'm on all the social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, that kind of stuff. And if you have a question, you just want to ask me about anything we've talked about, call me 912-200-8100.
I love it, man. Awesome. Thank you for taking the time to be on the show today.
Hey, you're very welcome.
All right, construction champions, another episode in the bay where we talked about the real fundamentals. When we talk about having a foundation for your business, the four fundamentals that Chris laid out today are them. And I would challenge all of you, as we always do on here, is to go look in the mirror and really look at what does your customer experience look like? What I used to always love to say is if it was your wife, your mom, or your grandma that was having that interaction with your business, would you be happy with that company? That's a great way to start evaluating it. Because I know if somebody's working for my mom, my grandma, my wife, I want them getting an amazing experience. And if your company's not delivering the kind of experience you would expect for that, it's time to reevaluate that. It's time to go back to the drawing board and figure out where can we improve. It's time to talk with somebody like Chris to start to understand how you can improve in this. How can you put those systems in place? If you're not the one wanting to do it, it has to be done. I think that's where we drop the ball a lot of times in this word. It's something we don't want to do or we're not going to be responsible for. So we just say it just won't happen. It'll just be however it lands is how it lands. And that's not acceptable. That's not how it works. It's stuff that fundamentally has to happen within our businesses. So somebody has to do it. Whether you hire somebody, you contract somebody to do it, whatever that looks like for you, whatever those systems are, the people, the software, all of that has to come together. It just can't be sweep it under the rug and clients will always be there. Because like we talk about on here all the time, the construction industry is changing and you better be on point. It's the customer service piece of this is going to become so important in the next 3 to 5 years that I don't think most of the industry even understands. So construction champions, make sure you go out, you check out all of our great sponsors. And until next time, be the champion you were meant to be.
Introducing BuilderComms, your all-in-one construction communication software. Say goodbye to communication mishaps that cause frustration among builders, contractors, and clients. The BuilderComms platform unifies communications, making it easy for you to chat, share updates, and collaborate effectively in one place. Experience the transformation in construction project management with BuilderComms. Visit us at buildercoms.com to learn more and start streamlining your projects today.